Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How is everybody doing? Good. Well, thank you for being here on this Friday. I know it's kind of a holiday weekend, but we're going to go through this Pfizer meeting, and I appreciate everybody being here today. We're going to go ahead and get started because it is 1 o'clock. Councilmember, we have no consent items. Councilmember Jurinsky, do you approve the minutes from 3:15?
I do.
Okay, I do as well. So we'll get those signed. Okay, we're going to go to our federal legislative update. Lori.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. 1 second. Sorry, I'm under the weather. I apologize.
Oh, hope you get better.
No problem. Reason why I'm off the camera. Congress has been in recess for the next couple of weeks. Before they left, they passed the remaining 6 appropriation bills. When they return, they have a host of things to do, including supplemental funding for Israel and Ukraine, emergency funding to replace a key bridge that fell earlier this week in Baltimore, and then the annual appropriations process. This is going to be especially difficult in the House. This Speaker Mike Johnson now just has a 1-seat majority for the Republicans. As you know, Congressman Buck's resignation was effective as of March 22nd. And then a couple weeks ago, Congressman Mike Gallagher of Wisconsin announced his resignation to much to the surprise of many Republicans in Congress, and it's effective April 19th. So now Republicans will only have a 1-seat majority. This past week, we submitted our community funding request, otherwise known as earmarks, to the senators, and we soon will be submitting these to Congressman Crow. I'm going to highlight 2 new grant opportunities. One is the Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program. This is a brand new program that was created in the bipartisan infrastructure law. And the point of this program is to strengthen and improve bicycling and pedestrian trail networks, including access to transit throughout a region. And I've shared that with Liz and your grants team, and those applications are due by June 17th. The second one is the Infra grant opportunity, and this is competitive grants for multimodal freight and highway projects of regional and national significance. This is a $2.7 billion opportunity. And those applications are due in early May. Any questions?
Jurinsky, do you have any questions on Lori's update? I don't as well. Thank you, Lori, so much, and I hope you feel better.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You too. Okay, Liz, our federal legislative position discussion. It looks like we have one bill here.
That is correct. We have one bill for support position, Senate Bill 2307. This is on page 9 of the packet. So this is a federal bill to support and strengthen fighter aircraft capabilities of the Air Force and for other purposes. So essentially, this bill supports fighter recapitalization. As a reminder, this is a 2024 federal legislative priority, and it would help support our military regarding the ongoing F-16 issue. Staff does recommend a support position on this legislation.
Okay, Councilmember Jurinsky, do you have any questions, and do you support the staff position of support for this bill?
I support this. I'm just confused that this is the only bill coming forward today. I thought there was others.
Oh, there is. This is the federal.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I support this.
We're moving on to the state after this. I support as well. No problem. I support as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we're going to go to our state legislative update. Hi, Peggy.
Hi, happy Friday.
Same to you.
Thank you. Quick update. I know we, as you mentioned, it's a holiday weekend, so just going to zip through a couple things real quick for you. We have about 40 days left in the session. There have been over 600 bills introduced. We do expect additional bills to be introduced in the next 6 weeks, so we'll keep you posted on that. The House last week worked on the budget. They will pass it on third reading on Monday, and then the budget will move over to the Senate, who will take it up on Tuesday and work on it for the remainder of the week. Couple big bills that we're watching. Senate Bill 106, which is the construction defects legislation, that will be on second reading in the Senate on Monday morning. The bill got out of committee 2 weeks ago. There were some additional amendments that were put on in committee around the right to remedy, informed consent, and negligence per se. The bill had some clarifications on remedy offers, clarifying that for homeowners, it's a choice. They don't have to use the same construction professionals or do a right to remedy. Local governments are exempted from the bill, and it changed the threshold for homeowners alliances to 60% from 66%. Couple other bills that we're watching. Aggravated cruelty to law enforcement animals, 1074 is on its way to the governor. 1076, which is the Purple Star legislation that was passed in the House and will be in Senate appropriations probably after the budget. ADUs and transit-oriented communities, part of the governor's affordable housing packages. Those will be in House appropriations, again, probably after the budget passes. And then we are still waiting for the introduction of RTD legislation. We did get a draft of the bill that we shared with Liz. We expect that to be introduced next week for sure. And there'll probably be a lot of changes to it around the board and the elected versus appointed members of the board. So lots going on at the Capitol. Definitely will be a busy last 6 weeks. Happy to get more information for you on any of the bills that we can provide additional insight for.
Member Jurinsky, do you have any questions or any additional information that you would like for Peggy to follow up on any of the bills that we've taken positions on this year so far?
Well, I was hoping to hear something about Senate Bill 127. I was also hoping to hear something about House Bill 1379, and I was hoping we could take positions on those. And then again, Councilmember Lawson, you and I spoke just a few minutes ago about a bill that we were watching. So where are all these bills?
Yes, happy to provide more information. I think you guys have the tracking sheet, which has the status of all the bills that we're watching. So that provides up-to-date status. If you ever want to check in on anything specifically, feel free to log into that. And if you need that login again, we can certainly send it back out to you. I'm just
so Senate Bill 127 and House Bill 1379. These are coming from the governor. I don't know. Can Water tell me? Are these coming up in your update? Is this what Water's tracking?
Senate Bill 127. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the dredge and fill legislation that Senator Kirkmeyer is bringing. Yeah, and I can defer to Kathy on that one for sure.
Well, I can wait till we get to Water, but
Let's wait till we get to the water update on 127.
I'm fine with that, but I would also like House Bill 1379, and I think that would also need to go underwater. But I would
That's
like
right.
to hear about that one too, and what the position is of Water on that. Peggy, I'm looking for the legislation from Mike Weissman on taking away our ability, to control our own public defender's office.
And Councilmember Jurinsky, that's going to be in one of our last discussions here, and we're going to be we have that on there.
Let's giddy on up, folks.
Okay.
Let's go.
But we got some other bills to go through. We got to take some positions.
All right.
So
Let's
just
go.
wait till we get there.
I'm ready to go.
All right. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Councilmember Jurinsky.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank
Tammy,
you.
Cami, and I didn't see Tatsi. Do you have any updates for us?
I don't, but thank you.
Okay, all right. Seeing none on that, let's go to our legislative positions. Liz.
Hey, thank you. So we have several bills to discuss today. So the first one is a support bill for House Bill 24-1284, pretrial release for repeat violent offenders. This would allow judges to, with the consent of a DA, from releasing a person on a personal or a PR bond. This is something that APD would like the city to support as they continue to see the same repeat offenders, and they would like some support with some additional bonding options. And then we do have Chief Morris to help answer any questions on this bill, if there are any on the support position.
Okay, Liz, I support this, but I just have a question. When you said in your comment that there's some additional, are they going to propose some additional amendments based on the bonding?
I don't believe on this bill. Are you referencing the
No, I'm just
1372,
referencing,
the
I'm
prone
just referencing
restraint?
what you said. They're going to be seeking some more bonding opportunities. So
Right.
is that in this bill that what is that going to be? I support it, but what are you referencing?
So the judge, when a person goes out on a bond, they can change
Okay,
if they would be able to get an unrecognized personal bond
okay,
with the consent of the DA. So people who are charged with multiple crimes would potentially not be allowed to do a PR bond. And we also have Judge Day if he would like to provide any additional context or answer those questions. I don't believe there are any amendments that I've seen on this legislation.
okay. Judge Day and then Chief Morris, do you have anything to speak on this? And then Councilmember Jurinsky, I will go to you.
Chief, I'll defer to you first if you wish.
Yeah, so this bill, it it is very restricted in terms of certain situations in which somebody would not be eligible for a PR bond, and it's connected to the crimes of violence that are in 18-1.3406. And so this really enhances the mandatory sentencing bill law that's out there. So I think it's really important to show support for our officers, because even though this is in limited circumstances in terms of when somebody wouldn't be able to get a PR bond, and it establishes that a reasonable amount under these conditions would be the $7,500 monetary amount. There are going to be circumstances and situations, I think, whenever this is going to help protect the community, and also support the work that the officers are doing by getting out there and making these arrests, and then somebody getting out, with virtually, a PR bond or something like that, even though they've shown a history of violent crime.
Okay, thank you, Chief Morris. Judge Day, did you want to speak on any context added?
Only to provide that this bill is a state court only bill and it wouldn't impact municipal courts.
Okay, Councilmember Jurinsky.
No questions, I support it.
Okay, I support as well. Thank you. Okay, Senate Bill 24-185, protections mineral interest owners forced pooling. Jeffrey Moore.
Thank you very
Want
much.
to give us some background?
Yes, thanks very much, Councilmember Lawson. This bill is one that we recommend support for. A little background: when an operator wants to drill a well in an area, of course, they first have to lease the minerals. If some mineral owners choose not to lease, the operator can what's called force pool those owners if they can lease at least 45% of the total minerals within the unit that's been identified. Forced pooling means that the mineral owner is forced to be a financial partner in the well. Local governments cannot legally be a financial partner because it's an unfunded liability, so they really don't have a choice currently. They essentially must lease, and that's the only option that they have. They can't refrain from leasing. This bill would give local governments an actual choice in that matter. A similar bill was introduced last year. I testified against the bill on behalf of the city and it failed. I'm very pleased to see that there's some good changes in the language of the bill this year, and also that they included my recommendation from last year, which to limit a local government's rights to their geographical area. The way it was written last year, any local government could theoretically come to another local government's area, buy minerals or own minerals, and prevent drilling there. I didn't think that was appropriate, and the Pfizer agree. We testified against that. That has been removed, and they have explicitly defined local government as the geographical boundary of that local government. The bill also gives local governments the real option to lease or not without the risk of forced pooling. It requires more legal proof from an operator that they have reached the 45% hurdle prior to forced pooling. And it also requires the operator to complete any pooling activities prior to drilling. Currently, they can drill before they pool, and this bill would require them to actually complete the pooling process before they drill. For these reasons, we believe the city should support the bill. It's scheduled to go to the Senate Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee next Wednesday, April 3rd. And I'd love to hear your perspectives, answer any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey, for giving that background. I think it's important also for the public to understand what we're doing as well. Councilmember Jurinsky, do you have any questions, and do you support the position of city staff?
No questions. I support it.
Okay, and I do as well. Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's go to House Bill 24-1372. Liz, did you want to take the lead on this, and then I'll ask Chief Morris?
Yes, absolutely. So this bill would regulate law enforcement use of prone restraint. We do have a summary of the bill. However, the city is very aware that the Chiefs Association is working on a significant strike through and rewrite amendment of the legislation, primarily to focus on what happens after the use of prone restraint and ensuring that people are getting adequate care once prone restraint is enforced. So the city would like to see an amend position for this bill to help support the Chiefs amendment that they are working on. We have some initial language for you in the rationale. Obviously, this is a developing amendment, so staff is keeping a close eye on what this ends up being. But we are very confident that it is going to be a complete strike through rewrite of the bill. I will let Chief Morris discuss more on the rationale of this and some of the impacts that we would like to see with any amendment that gets proposed.
Okay, Chief Morris. Oh, Councilmember Jurinsky, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any rationale on this, and I hope that we come out and strongly oppose it. Liz, you said that you think it'll be a complete strike through. It better be a complete strike through, or we're not going to have any police officers left anywhere in this state. I don't need to hear any rationale. I am strongly opposing this. There is no rationale, and anybody that gives any rationale for this is not a rational person.
Okay, and then Councilmember Jurinsky, so I agree with you on that point, but the position to do a complete strike through with just the care part of it, we can come back. This comes up on April 2nd. If they don't take our amendments, then we can definitely take that position. I think Chief Morris did go down and talk to Senator Fields, and she also talked to Representative Wiseman. I do think at least see if this passes. It's a complete strike through. It's just focusing on this one portion of the bill, which is after the care.
No,
Okay.
I don't want an amendment. Either let it pass as is and see complete anarchy when every single police officer in this state resigns, and then let the state legislatures go with it. I'm not supporting any amendment. I'm not supporting any part of this. They want it to pass. It's going to pass as is, and they're going to deal with the ramifications. I don't even care what the amendments would be. I don't even care.
Well, okay, so I understand your point, but I think I'm going to give Chief Morris what the amendment would look like. Chief Morris, and you don't have, Councilmember Jurinsky, I'm the chair of the committee, so just let her say what the amendment is. And I think that that's important, and then we can go from there. Go ahead, Chief Morris.
Yeah, I do want to start off by saying I completely agree, Councilmember Jurinsky, and in your position, I think 100% that if this thing were to pass as is, exactly what you're saying would happen in terms of officers in the state of Colorado, exactly what would happen is that we'd be, well, I mean, I can't imagine how we would have any officers left, to be honest. And I really look at this bill in three parts. And the first part is the part that really prohibits prone restraint accepting the use of deadly force. And then the second part of it, I look at it as the care part. Like, what's the care that we need to give somebody after they've been in a prone restraint situation? And then the last part of it is the immunity piece. And so I think the focus and all of the, any amendment would be to focus a strike, and I'm talking about a strike, an amend would be the care focus piece. And I have met with our training staff in terms of exactly what we're doing here in the Aurora Police Department and how we're training. And everything in any of these bills, the amendment pieces in terms of the care, having policies and procedures, that the Aurora Police Department is already doing those. It would just be a matter of putting those in the actual policy and not just having them in our training, specifically for prone restraint. So I don't believe that, from just all the conversations that I've had, that we will be able to get this bill like killed as it is, like oppose it, and it just is not going to get voted in. I think that we don't have the votes for this not to pass. And so all of the efforts, the Colorado Association of Chiefs of Police, I know the FOP, the sheriffs, everybody have been working on doing a strike and amend position. And I also believe that the sponsors, and I haven't, other than Senator Fields, I haven't spoken with any sponsors specifically myself, but I've spoken with people that have spoken with the sponsors, and that my an amendment, like a strike and amend type situation. And so, again, everything that I've seen, where it's, there's obviously different amendments out there proposed. They all center around the care piece with training and policies, and some are different than others. However, if we can support an amend position, it will substantially, I think, put us in a better position in terms of fighting this. Because obviously in an amend position, we're not supporting the bill as is. But again, I'm completely agree with you on what's going to happen with law enforcement if this bill were to pass as is. And I don't believe that it will if we keep working on these amendments and focus on the policies and procedures, the training, and the care piece of this, because the immunity piece is already included in 217. And so again, focus on the care, what we expect the officers to actually do, making sure it's spelled out in policy for the prone restraint. And that may be, I think that's the best position that we're in at this point in time.
Okay, and then I just have a couple questions. So Peggy and Liz, when does this bill come? It's coming up for first reading. Is it first reading on April 2nd?
It'll be in committee on April 2nd.
A committee on April 2nd. And then can you tell me, Peggy, just if it's within the committee on April 2nd, what's the timeline of how this is going to go? And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's obviously going to be a split between me and Councilmember Jurinsky on this. So I want to see how the amendment's going to go. If it's not going to go, then I want to just see. And if not, then I just need to know the timeline, because I think that we need to take another position. And I need to know if it needs to come to full council, because we have our next meeting on April 8th, or I need to call a special meeting.
Yeah, it's hard to know what the timing's going to be, honestly. It'll be in its first committee, as Liz said, next week. I don't think it will be in appropriations before April 8th, but it could be. I mean, this is just me guessing. They will start moving things out of appropriations. I don't know that this will necessarily move before that. So I think we'd have an opportunity to change our position if need be before things are done. I think we could still be impactful if you need to change a position one way or the other.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go with the city staff position of amend. I do want to see if this amend with the complete strikes through of this bill, but just that focusing on that portion, that care piece, that's what I'm supporting. Councilmember Jurinsky, I know you're a no, right? Oppose. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. So that's okay. Okay. So that's where we're at, Liz. We don't have Councilmember Gardner here, so I'm going to look for the amend, and then from there, on the 2nd, I'm going to see what's going to happen there, and then we'll move from there on the position piece. From me, I guess. Or
So
for
for
Pfizer?
clarification, for everyone, for the official city position, since we are tied,
Yeah.
would it be safe to say we have no position at this time until
We
we
don't
take
have-
this to the April 8th study session?
Yeah, we
Or
have no
have a
pos-
separate meeting?
Right now, we just have no position.
Okay.
But I have a question. So if we don't have any position, then we can't really propose the amendment, correct? Like our,
Well, I guess to clarify, the
Because-
city itself is not proposing the amendment. The Chiefs Association has been
Oh, the Chiefs
working with
Association?
other
Okay.
organizations like the Sheriff's Organization and
Okay.
CML to
Okay.
do and propose that amendment. So we would be supporting their efforts to do so.
Okay.
But if the city has no position, then the city has no position.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that clarification. So we'll take no position on it.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the informational item. This is actually in a draft, but this is the prohibited flat fees for defending indigent clients. So Liz, do you want to give some background on this? And then we got Judge Day as well.
Yes, so this is a bill from Rep. Weissman. It is currently a draft. I don't think it's been introduced yet. Peggy, please correct me if I haven't seen it. But the bill prohibit a municipality that prosecutes domestic violence and that contracts with one or more defense attorneys to provide counsel from utilizing a fixed or flat fee payment structure for addicting defense services. This position would be at council's discretion, as this has not been an introduced bill. City staff do not recommend a position at this time, and we don't have recommendation on this. I know Judge Day wanted to speak to this bill as well, so I will turn it over to him to answer any additional questions.
Thank you, Judge Day.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Liz correctly cited the draft bill and the application of the draft bill. It's targeted to four specific cities, Lakewood, Westminster, Denver, and Aurora. We're the only 4 remaining municipal courts that prosecute domestic violence cases, and by the specific language of the bill, it's only targeted for those 4 cities. It does prohibit local control of how to contract for indigent defense, limiting it to hourly rates and only hourly rates. It removes the possibility of a fixed rate or a flat rate. It does reference the state statute as it relates to the Office of Alternative Defense Counsel. Within the statute for the provisions of the statutes that's relating to Office of Alternative Defense Counsel, it references the Chief Justice Directive 04-04. Within that directive, the Supreme Court and through Chief Justice Boatwright set forth the hourly rate for alternative defense counsel attorneys with a maximum amount that would be allowed. If it goes over the maximum amount per whatever charge the person is facing, and there's, as you can imagine, different categories within the chart, but for us, it would be the misdemeanor level. If it goes over a certain amount, then the attorney would need to go back and get approval for the court for those added expenses. None of that language is within the current proposed draft bill. There is still some question, and I believe the other cities are questioning it as well as to what is meant by fixed rate, if it can be an annual rate, as Lakewood contracts with a particular firm on an annual basis. Westminster contracts with the Office of Alternative Defense Counsel. Clearly with us in Denver, we have in-house, which this bill would not apply to, but it would apply to any city, including Denver and Aurora, if we needed to bring on a conflict attorney outside of the in-house public defender, or for us, if it was outside of Alternative Defense Counsel representation, if they had some sort of conflict or couldn't provide the services, then the court would have to contract with a particular firm or a particular attorney, but it would limit us to nothing but an hourly rate. Again, it does remove local control over that particular issue. Happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Jurinsky, I'll let you go. I think for me, I'll let her speak before we take any type of conversation about a position. But the local control piece for me is very, very substantial. I mean, that's the part I really have, I have a lot of issues with that part of this when we're referencing this particular potential draft of this bill. So that's just, so I just wanted to state that. Councilmember Jurinsky, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, wait, so Councilmember Lawson, with that, are you prepared to take a position?
It's
Should
under
say
council
this-
discretion, and I know that they don't want us to take a position, but I'm at a position of opposed.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna be very honest, and I see who's on this meeting right now, so welcome everyone. Judge Day was notified yesterday from Councilmember Zvonek. We have a draft ordinance in place to do away with handling domestic violence cases altogether in the city of Aurora. So should this bill pass, should this legislation pass, we will no longer prosecute domestic violence cases in the city of Aurora at all anymore. We have put the DA on notice. We have put Arapahoe County on notice. The same Arapahoe County that's like bankrupt right now. So I'm not sure how they'll quite start defending all these DV cases themselves. But should this pass, the city of Aurora will no longer prosecute domestic violence cases. So go ahead and write about that and go ahead and put it in your pipe and smoke it, because that's where we're at, and I strongly oppose.
Okay. And Judge Day, so with this, that we couldn't yeah, and what Councilmember Jurinsky, I've heard that as well. We would not be able to prosecute DV cases at all in the city of Aurora at all?
Again, the bill targets 4 specific cities: Lakewood, Westminster, Denver, and Aurora. It's only for the cities that prosecute domestic violence cases, and it would remove the ability of those cities to contract either on a fixed or flat rate. As it stands right now, it does not have any application to our in-house public defender's office. It would only be for specific attorneys or firms that would come in conflict, or that we would have to hire as conflict counsel. So it wouldn't impact us as we currently have our setup for in-house public defender. We could still continue prosecuting domestic violence cases, continue with our in-house public defender's office, because it wouldn't have any application. But I understand. Yeah.
Judge, real quick, I have a question, Chair.
Councilmember Jurinsky?
But if we continue prosecuting domestic violence cases, we are locked in to our current city public defender's office. We would not be able to bring in outside counsel, which we're not going to back off from. I'll be quite frank. We're not going to back off from. I'm sure this legislation was held, comes from our friend Elizabeth Cadiz, who is currently on this meeting. I'm sure that's where this comes from, in an attempt to stop us, from trying another RFP or continue our efforts to get rid of our in-house public defender's office. That's exactly what this language states, we know exactly where it came from. So if this passes, draft ordinance is already in place. Councilmember Zvonek let Judge Day know yesterday, we will no longer handle DV cases in the city of Aurora, and respective budgets will reflect that immediately.
Okay, Liz, did you want to speak?
Yes, just to clarify something in the bill, it would not prohibit us outright from contracting. Instead, it would require us to utilize an hourly rate that is the same or greater than the hourly rate paid by the state for our contractors.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that was clarified.
Yeah, we know where this came from. We've heard all of this about an hourly rate, and we pay our current public defenders an annual salary, and how can we compare? We know exactly where this came from. So that's the position. Should this pass, the city of Aurora will no longer be prosecuting domestic violence cases, I can assure you.
And so Liz, I know it says council discretion, but the committee, the Councilmember Jurinsky and I are going to take an opposed position. And so I know the bill has not been is in a draft form, but I think having that our position of what the Pfizer committee, of course, we'll review this with the full council, but I think having to let them know what our position is on this. And I stated what my reason was, Councilmember Jurinsky as well.
Okay, I will make note of that for the study session for April 8th when we
Okay.
present the report.
Okay, thank you, Judge Day. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go to our water update. Kathy.
Good afternoon. Have one item for the committee today, and so it is the Waters of the United States and the State Gap Waters Program development. And back on February 26th, we brought forth Senate Bill 24-127, one form of legislation and for support position. And last week, 1379 was introduced. That is a directly competing bill. And so Senate Bill 24-127, that came from input from the regulated community. So we also refer to that as the Kirkmeyer bill. The new bill, House Bill 24-1379, is the state's bill, their way that they would like to create the program. And there are a lot of issues with this bill. So working with the State Affairs Aurora Water team and with our lobbyists, we debated whether or not to propose amend or propose oppose. We decided amend might be better in this particular time frame to be able to work with the proponents. But there are just several problems with the House version of the bill. And the biggest one is that it expands beyond gap waters to potentially include all of state waters. And so that is a massive expansion beyond what was being discussed. And there's always been gap waters between what the federal government would permit and what was state waters. And so that was one of the biggest differences. And the other difference is the Senate bill would house it in Department of Natural Resources. The House bill puts it, the new program, in the Department of Health. And the Department of Health and the Water Quality Control Division, they are just known for delay in permits. They have a massive backlog of permits. Whether it's housed in either department, it's going to have to set up a new program in one of those places. And the way that they've laid out the steps for the permits in the process, it's multiple steps. It's reconsideration of federal permits. And I can't imagine that the state process in Colorado Department of Health, the way that they've laid it out, is going to be efficient, effective, or timely in any way. But there'll be a lot of debates and a lot of amendments set forth. I'll stop there. I could go on, but I'll stop there for questions.
So Kathy, are you recommending a amend position? It seems like it has a lot of issues. And so I'm just trying to understand, why do you really feel like these amendments that you're proposing are going to be something that's going to be considered? Because it seems like this is a lot. And there's a lot of issues. So
There are a lot of issues. In Colorado Water Congress, they've created a subcommittee too for this particular topic. And so as they've been looking at 127 and now the House version of the bill, Colorado Water Congress did go forth and they did support the Senate version of the bill. In the subcommittee that focuses on the details of these two bills, the question was posed, can anybody support the House version? And nobody could. But in trying to work to reconcile the two bills, the lobbyists and the advocates are suggesting amend, but I think it's appropriate. And so I'm recommending amend coming from my team and the Aurora Water lobbyists are recommending amend, but oppose is also a fair position.
okay, Councilmember Jurinsky, did you want to have a question and did you want to comment on a position as well?
I also support the Senate Bill 127, but I strongly oppose the House Bill 1379. And this, just like the police prone bill, this for me, there is no amendment that's is going to make it might make it a little better. Let them fall on their face. Why amend it? Let them fall flat on their face. And if they want to pass this kind of legislation, let them pass it the way it is, and then they'll have to answer to that. So I am strongly opposed to House Bill 1379.
Yeah, and I'm kind of I'm in agreement with Councilmember Jurinsky. I usually like kind of the amend, but I'm looking at this one a little bit from a different perspective, just because of all the issues that's going on with the 1379. I just don't think, and I could be wrong, but I just don't think that they're going to accept a lot of these amendments, and that's just my opinion. I'm supportive of Senate Bill 127, but I am not for 1379, so I do oppose that one.
Okay. Question,
Yes.
or I guess just another statement. This is the speaker's bill. So we do have a tough road in opposition in front of us. Not scared about it, but just to let you know that this is the speaker's bill. And this has been a long time coming, and I appreciate either an amend or an oppose position, and it sounds like oppose. So I will just keep you posted. I will send to some of the talking points that the CWC subcommittee has come up with in opposition, basically, or amendment statements. And just to also make the note, this isn't just a water department thing. This is going to affect our streets. This is going to affect our parks department and other departments as well.
Yeah, it's such a large, I mean, it just has, I just can't, I don't, well, I'm just looking at the bill, but it impacts a lot. So I just can't even get on board. I don't even think any amendment is going to really help with that. And I appreciate what you guys are doing, but on that one, yeah, I do agree with Councilmember Jurinsky for the oppose on that one. So, and that's just what the committee, these bills do come in front of the council. So, but this is just what the committee recommendation will be. Okay. Is there anything else, Kathy?
Let's see, the gray water bill 1362 was heavily amended. And so I can bring forth to the next FSAR to change our position on that one, likely monitor after being a strong oppose. So that one's in a better place. It's still not perfect, but better. But that's my update.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. Is there anything, Councilmember Jurinsky, do you have any other miscellaneous items?
No.
Okay. Our next meeting is going to be April 12th, and we will have that one in person. And I thank everyone for being on this, on our meeting. Mayor Kaufman, sorry. I did not acknowledge.
One quick point, and that is, I was late for this meeting because I was on with RTD. There we go. I was with the director of RTD, obviously concerned about their legislation and restructuring. Peggy, where is that? You know?
Yeah,
It's not
Peggy,
been
can
introduced yet.
you get that update again? Mayor Kaufman
Yeah,
wasn't
you
Oh, I'm
bet.
sorry.
present.
No,
You've already
that's
talked
okay.
about it? Okay.
But Mayor, we can do the update for you.
Yep,
Okay.
no problem. So we got a draft of the bill that we shared with Liz and the internal team. The bill is structured so that it creates appointments a lot from the governor's office. We've heard some general concerns from RTD on the way the bill is structured. I do expect that we will see some dramatic changes to the bill as it works through the process, but haven't gotten any amendments yet. I don't know if RTD, I've been speaking with their lobbyists. I don't know if they shared that they've got any amendments that they're sending out, but I'm waiting to see what those amendments are so we can share them with the internal team and get some feedback.
Okay. Oh, he didn't mention anything to me. I talked to what do they call it? It's not the chair. The chair of
Yep.
RTD was on him with his government people. Okay. Okay, great.
Perfect.
That's all I
Yep.
have. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, yes, Mayor Kaufman.
Oh, I wonder if Councilmember Jurinsky could stay on for an extra minute.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend. And thank you for being on. See you later.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye, everybody. Have a good
Bye.
one.
Okay.
Mayor, do you want me to call you?
Whatever you think. Yeah, why don't you do that?
I'll call you right now. Bye.
Okay. Thanks.